what we did with the car was maybe not fantastic. Yeah, not great. So that's something that we need to understand.
Listen, guys, the man who dominated Formula One for years is now seriously thinking about walking away, and the reason will genuinely shock you. Today, we are breaking down everything happening around Max Verstappen right now, from his brutal honesty about F1's broken rules, to Red Bull's secret internal fights, to a wild escape plan involving Daytona that nobody saw coming. Stay with me because this one is packed. Let's break it down, but before, if you want more updates and news on Max, then hit that like button and subscribe for more breakdowns. Red Bull's secret I told you drama. Hold on, because this part is actually really entertaining. So, going into qualifying in Montreal, Verstappen told Red Bull exactly what setup direction he wanted. Red Bull disagreed and went their own way. Verstappen, knowing it would not work, went along with it anyway, basically to prove a point. After qualifying 6th, he told the Dutch media that sometimes you just have to let the team feel for themselves that something does not work. Now, when Red Bull team principal Laurent Mekies was asked about this, he did not deny it. He actually said these "I told you" moments are necessary for the team to grow. He called it part of Red Bull's DNA to take risks, especially at the start of a new regulation cycle. So yes, there is genuine tension between Verstappen and the team, but both sides seem to understand that this kind of friction is actually what pushes them forward. The bitter truth behind that first podium. Now, on the surface, third place in Canada looks like a great result for Verstappen and Red Bull. Their first podium of 2026, a milestone for Red Bull Ford powertrains, a brilliant battle with Lewis Hamilton. But if you look a little closer, the picture is a bit more complicated. Verstappen himself admitted he was actually feeling better with the car back in Miami. He said he was honestly surprised to even be on the podium in Montreal. And the reason becomes clear when you trace how he got there. George Russell retired with a power unit failure. Both McLarens made a catastrophic strategy error by starting on intermediate tires on a drying track, and Verstappen struggled massively on the medium compound in his second stint. So the podium was real, the progress was real, but a lot of the stars aligned that day. McLaren's gift and Max's brilliant one-liner. And speaking of McLaren's tire disaster, Verstappen's reaction when he realized what they had done is just so perfectly him. Both Norris and Piastri lined up on intermediate tires when the rest of the grid went on slicks. They were immediately on the wrong tire, pitted early, and basically handed Verstappen a free upgrade in track position. When asked about it after the race, Verstappen just grinned and said, "That was a great call. I was like, thank you." Short, sharp, and absolutely hilarious. Even race winner Kimi Antonelli admitted he was surprised to see the McLarens on inters, calling it a massive gamble that simply did not pay off. The RB22 problem that nearly broke everything. Now let us zoom out and give some context to why this season has been so tough for Verstappen. The Red Bull RB22 had an absolutely nightmare start to 2026, reliability failures in Australia and China. Verstappen describing the car as incredibly tough to drive. And at one point even Isaac Hajar bluntly saying the chassis was terrible, while the engine was fine. There were even reports that people inside Red Bull were discussing scrapping the car entirely and starting fresh. The car was reportedly overweight, losing around 0.8 per lap from the chassis alone. The good news is that since Miami, Red Bull has cracked some fundamental issues and is now genuinely in the mix with Ferrari, but the damage from those early races left Verstappen sitting 8th in the championship with just 8 points heading into Canada. The rules that are killing Max's love for F1. So let's start with the biggest thing on everyone's mind right now. Verstappen came out in Montreal and basically said F1 has become anti-racing. His exact words were that qualifying feels very anti-driving, anti-racing. And that is not what Formula One should be about. And honestly, when you hear him explain it, it actually makes a lot of sense. He is not just complaining for the sake of it. He is saying that the fans watching at home have absolutely no clue what drivers are actually dealing with inside the cockpit, how much battery they are allowed to charge, what they can and cannot do when they are behind another car, what the rules are on the formation lap. It is genuinely that complicated. And Verstappen's point is that when the sport becomes this complex, it stops being pure racing and starts feeling like a management simulator. He even compared the current cars to Formula E on steroids, which honestly is not a compliment. The minimum he is demanding to stay now here is where it gets really interesting. Verstappen is not just venting randomly. He has actually put a clear condition on the table. He wants F1 to shift the power split from the current 50-50 hybrid balance to a 60-40 in favor of the combustion engine by 2027. He called this the necessary minimum to make racing feel natural again, and the FIA has actually agreed to this in principle, which is why Verstappen arrived in Canada feeling slightly more positive. But then reports started coming in that some manufacturers, with fingers pointing toward Ferrari, are politically pushing back against these changes. And the moment Verstappen heard that, his mood flipped completely. He said staying under the current formula would be mentally not doable for him. So right now, everything is hanging on, whether the FIA holds firm or gets overruled by the politics of the big teams. The Daytona escape plan. So here is where everything connects. Verstappen is unhappy with the rules, unhappy with the car, and quietly building an exit plan in his head. He has openly said he is considering doing the 24 Hours of Daytona in 2027 in a GT3 car. He told Dutch media, "I would really love to do it," but said he would need to restructure his entire training schedule and talk to his family first. He also wants to return to the Nürburgring 24 hours, a race he genuinely seems to love more than half the current F1 calendar. Now, my personal take on all of this, I think Verstappen is not bluffing. This is a man who raced at the Nürburgring for fun during an F1 season and loved every second of it. When a driver starts enjoying other series more than his own championship, that is a real signal. But here is the question I want to leave you with. If the 2027 rule changes do go through and F1 becomes more pure, do you think that is actually enough to keep Max, or has the damage already been done? Drop your answer in the comments because I genuinely want to know what you think.